One of the things I mentioned last week was this issue that comes up where we get changing of the districts, the district lines. We had a census taken in 2020, and that caused redistricting. And a young lady came up to me afterwards and said, "You left out my representative. I'm in House District 23." And I thought, well, I could have made a mistake because it wouldn't be the first time. So I went home and looked. And the representative she talked about really is in House District 23. However, House District 23 used to include City of Jefferson. City of Jefferson is now in House District 11, and 23 is Polk and Yamhill counties, okay? So the representative is still a representative in 23, but she doesn't represent this area any longer, okay? So it's an example of this problem where we get the redistricting, and if you go look at the map, you're looking at maybe this year's boundaries, and the people you're voting on are in the boundaries that will happen come January 3, okay? So I don't know that they made it difficult on purpose, but it is, okay? Now, there have been several people ask me questions this morning about the ballots, because I suspect all or most all of you have received a ballot. I would say if you did not get your ballot by Wednesday of this week, go to your county clerk's office, okay? I mean, it's not going to do any good to put something on Facebook and do all that. Just go to the clerk's office and they'll give you a ballot. If you got the wrong ballot, go to the clerk's office with it, okay? If you got a ballot that the name's not right, take it to the clerk's office. If you spill coffee on it, or orange juice or whatever, okay, and it's damaged, just take it to the clerk's office and they'll give you a new ballot, okay? So it's fortunate that we have the election coming up, but it's unfortunate in terms of my class because I would like to get through all 14 elements that I want to get through before the election. We can't do that. The election's going to happen on the 8th of November, whether I'm ready for it or not, okay? It'll happen. So I've got a couple of pieces we're going to deal with this morning, and then next week we're going to focus specifically on the voting process, okay? On how to check your registration, what to do with the ballot, why you don't write on it. We're going to go through that. I'll do a little bit dealing with the voter integrity issue, but it's not going to be the major part of it. I mean, one of the solutions to all of our concern about the validity of the election is for everybody to vote. The turnout typically is in the 70% range on these odd years, okay? But if it was 99%, more difficult to have cheating in there, okay? So I want to talk about the county elected, because my belief is that while it's important that I have understanding about people at the state level and federal level, my personal responsibility as an active member of my party is the local election, county and the local below that. So let's start with the county, okay? So we're dealing with segment number 12, and if you've got the book, it's on page 98, and I know that 3 of you have asked me this morning about getting a book. So Judy, if you hold up your hand, okay? If you want a book, let Judy know and we'll get some printed. She'll be here till the end, okay? All right? So we'll do that. So if you've got the book, we're on page 98. The book is also downloadable from the website. So we want to talk about the number of counties in Oregon, the county commissioners in our 3 counties, what's their term of office, who are the nonpartisan elected positions, and what is their term of office, okay? So there are 36 counties in the state of Oregon. It's important to understand that a county has a dual role. They are agent of the state, okay? So they're an extension of state government in many ways. They're also a unit of local government. So they have these 2 almost competing roles, okay? Elected positions, in most cases, are the highest ranking position within the county. They are not under the direct control of any state elected or appointed individual or agency. They're constrained by the state constitution, but for instance, If the county clerk is an elected position, they are totally and wholly only accountable to those of us who vote for them. They are not accountable to the Secretary of State. Okay? So we'll look at a little more of that. So my focus is on our 3 counties. Okay, so this is the 2022 population about 3 months ago. Okay, so Marion County is 355,000, Lynn about 136. Okay, and Benton 94,000. Okay, is that right? That doesn't seem right. I think that's registered Republicans. I'll have to fix it and get back to you, okay? What was it the lady says at the White House? I'll circle back, right? I'll circle back, okay. So the county commissioners, these are 3 partisan positions in each of our 3 counties. They're 4-year terms, no term limits. They are the executive and legislative branches of our 3 counties. Now that's an unusual deal, but that's unique to counties, okay? All 3 of our counties hold weekly board meetings. Marion, it's on Tuesday at 9 a.m. Lynn, it's on Tuesdays at 9:30. Benton, it's every other Tuesday at 9. Now, I've not attended Marion or Benton County Commissioners meetings. I attend Lynn County on occasion. And here's one of the unique features of that meeting. There's always a period of time where there is information from the public, or where you get to stand and talk if you want to, okay? So at that point in time, unlike a lot of the city council meetings I've gone to, the commissioners will engage you in conversation. So it's business from the public. You usually get 3 minutes, and often the commissioners then will ask you questions and you can engage in a conversation. And I like that at the county level. Some cities, you get your 3 minutes and you sit down and go away, okay? Here they're able to ask clarifying questions. So there are county elected nonpartisan positions in all 3 of our counties. I believe these are all 4-year terms. The county clerk is elected in Lynn and Marion counties. It's appointed or hired in Benton, but in Lynn and Marion, they are elected. They're in charge of elections, marriage license, all the county records, okay? The sheriff in all 3 counties are elected. They're in charge of law enforcement and the jail. And by the way, an elected sheriff is the highest ranking person dealing with that area in the county, okay? So this is the highest ranking police officer, if you will, in the county. The state police have no jurisdiction over them. FBI has no jurisdiction over them, okay? They are the highest ranking person in that position in our county. The treasurer in Lynn and Marion County is elected. They're in charge of financial functions for the county. The district attorney in all 3 counties is elected. The assessor is elected in Lynn County, not in the other 2. They're in charge of property taxes. And Lynn County still has a surveyor that is elected and also a justice of the peace. And so people often ask me, why the surveyor? Well, there was a period of time when setting property lines and property corners was a major big issue, okay? And we had, in some counties, people who were not very focused on things being correct. And so most counties had this position as an elected position. That's not as important anymore, but I kind of like it that way, okay? So let's deal with Marion County. Here are your 3 commissioners. 2 of them are on the ballot this year. If you've got your ballot already and you live in Marion County, these 2 people should be on there. The 3rd one will be on the ballot in 2 years, okay? If you don't know anything about your county commissioners, one of the ways to find out is to go to their meetings on a weekly basis or read the minutes of their meetings, okay? So in position 1, you've got Andrew and Kevin running. Over in position 2, it's Colm and Mark, okay? So you can go to Ballotpedia and get information, I believe, on all 4 of these individuals. So if you want to know something about their background, you can go there to get that information. Nonpartisan positions in Marion County. County clerk on the election in 2024. The treasurer is running unopposed this year. The sheriff will be on the ballot in 2024, and your district attorney in 2026. Okay? I have these dates on down the line because I want people to not think about elections as a one-up deal. Okay? I mean, we have an election on top of us, but there's another election next May. There's an election in 2 years for these positions. So you need to be thinking now about who you want to have in those positions. In Lynn County, these are our 3 commissioners. Roger and Sherry will be on the ballot in 2024. Will is on the ballot this year. Okay, as I mentioned earlier, it's a weekly meeting on Tuesdays at 9:30, and it's a good place to go sit and find out what's happening in your county. Don't be late to the meetings, because if they don't have a lot of business, the meetings are short. I've been there when the meetings are only 15 or 20 minutes because they don't have a bunch of business, and so they don't want to spend a bunch of time just sitting around. Okay, so the agenda is printed ahead of time and published ahead of time, so you can go find out what's happening within your county. So this is the only position for commissioner that's on the ballot this year. Will is running against Scott. The probability is that Will be reelected. I mean, he's been in Lynn County a long time, well known. He was a commissioner once before, left for a bunch of personal reasons, had to do with health and the like, and he was appointed back, and now he's running for the position. So the nonpartisan positions, our county clerk, Steve Druckenmiller, is on the election. He's running unopposed at this time. The district attorney will be on 2024, as will the justice of the peace. The sheriff, as you probably know, is on the ballot this year. That's unusual to have that a contested position, but it is contested this year, and a lot of advertisement going on for that position. Other nonpartisan positions, the treasurer, the surveyor, and the tax collector will all be on the ballot in 2 years. These are all nonpartisan positions, and they don't have term limits. Okay. The sheriff's position, as I mentioned earlier, is contested in Lynn County. John is running against Michelle, and John has said, the reason I have the undersheriff up here, John has said if he's elected, Travis will be his undersheriff. Okay? Typically what happens in most counties, if an elected sheriff, they will retire before their term is up. The commissioners will appoint someone in there who then appoints an undersheriff, okay? And the person they usually appoint in there is the undersheriff. So if Michelle if she gets the job and she quits before her term is up, they'll probably appoint the undersheriff. So it's that deal of moving up. Not everybody is happy about that process, okay? But that's what happens, okay? Question? Yes. I mean, that's a fairly unusual name. So if you've got people with that last name, they're probably related somehow, okay? All right, Benton County, you've got 3 commissioners, as do the other 2 counties. Only one of them is on the ballot this year. Pat Malone is on the ballot. And he's running against, William usually prefers to be called Bill, okay? But Pat and Bill are running in Benton County, okay? It's easy to find information about Pat. It's not so easy to find information about Bill because he's never held office before. There is some information on Ballotpedia about him, okay? The sheriff in Benton County is on the ballot. The district attorney will be on there in 2 years. Okay? By the way, the sheriff is running uncontested. So in summary about the county stuff, elected positions in each county include partisan and nonpartisan position. The term of office in all three of our counties for whether it's partisan or not are 4 years. In almost every case, there's no term limits, okay? Other than the commissioners and sheriff, elected positions are not the same in all counties, okay? So there are different elected positions in each of the counties. So questions about counties before we talk about local? Just a minute, you got the microphone, go ahead.
Yeah, regarding the partisan versus nonpartisan positions, what determines whether it's a nonpartisan or not?
I want to say ordinance, but it's not. It's the county charter. Mm-hmm. Okay, the county charter determines whether or not a position is partisan or nonpartisan. Okay.
Can you find out what party they belong to? Because often that gives you insight into their worldview.
I'm sorry.
Can you find out what party they belong to?
Yes.
Easily?
Let's see. It's open. Some stuff is open to everybody. The Ballotpedia, okay? If you go to Ballotpedia, typically it will tell you what party they're registered at, okay? If not, then you need to find someone in the party that you're registered with that is an officer in the party, and there is a database that's out there called the GOP Data Center that I'm familiar with. I'm sure the Democrats have a similar issue where I can go in and look and tell everybody who's a registered voter in the county how they're registered and how often they vote. I can't tell how they voted, but I can tell whether or not they returned their ballot, okay? And that database is open to a lot of people. I mean, there's also other public information that's available, okay? And I will bring some of that on the handout next week about where you go, okay? Anybody else?
I probably should know this, but as far as Lynn County Sheriff, Michelle Duncan, was she actually elected or was she appointed?
She was appointed to that position because the previous sheriff retired. Okay. I mean, it's been a common practice in most counties for years.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you.
But she is standing for election now. All right. All right. Let's talk about local because this is my passion is this group. Okay. So if you're following along in the book, we're on page 104. So there are two categories of what I call local tax districts. We want to identify what those are. And we talk to you about how to determine the tax districts that you pay taxes to. How many of you just got your property tax this week? Yeah. I always think it's nice that it comes out just before we do an election because the shock of that usually helps make decisions, okay? So what are the common categories of local taxing districts? The approximate number of elected and appointed positions in taxing districts in your county, the term of office for those who are elected in local government, special considerations for taxing districts that cross county lines, and how do you become informed on the actions of the taxing districts that you pay taxes to? So we'll see if we can deal with that in about 20 minutes or so, okay? So what I call taxing districts are those public organizations that receive and spend our property tax money. The two categories are cities, and the other big category is called special districts, okay? And the special districts are not my term for it, that's what the Secretary of State calls this group, is special districts. And we'll get into some depth here in a minute, okay? So if you want to know what taxing districts you pay taxes to, if you just got the thing in the mail that's got your taxes on it. If you look, if it's Lynn County, it's in the upper right corner. There's a list of all of the places that your tax money goes and how much goes there. Okay? If you don't get a tax statement, you can go to the assessor's office in your county and get that information. If you're good with your computer, all this is online. What you need to know is your address. If you have your tax ID number, that's easier, but you can get there by your address. So in most counties, anyone that has a computer can go look about what your property taxes are on your property, okay? And you can also do that on anybody else's property, okay? Some counties make it more difficult because you have to have a tax ID number, okay? I think Lynn County is still, if you can do that, or the address. But this is how you figure out who are the taxing districts I need to pay attention to, because these people are spending your money. They got their hand in your pocket, okay? So there are two groups of people that are in these organizations that we ought to be thinking about. We have the elected city council, mayor, and boards of directors. Those are all elected positions. Then we have appointed positions. Every taxing district is required by state law to have a budget committee. Those are appointed positions, okay? And most budget committees are composed of 5 people. Cities are required by law to have a planning commission if the city is a certain size, okay? And many cities have advisory committees. For instance, the city of Albany has over 100 advisory positions where people volunteer, okay? And we'll talk about some of that here as we go, right? So let's look first at Marion County. There are 60 taxing districts in Marion County. There are 20 cities, 14 education districts, 20 fire districts, 4 water districts, and 2 that I call other, okay? That group, there are 344 elected positions representing these 60 taxing districts. There are 690 volunteer positions. Now, I know those are clean numbers, but those are approximate numbers. It's the best that I could determine looking at all the websites and the stuff that's online at the county, okay? So notice that the volunteer group is about twice the size of the elected group, okay? In Marion County, here are your cities, okay? There are 20 of them, 127 elected positions, 488 appointed positions, and somewhere between half and a third of the 127 are on the ballot now, okay? So for instance, if you have a council of 5, either 2 or 3 of those council will be on the ballot now. The remaining will be on the ballot in 2 years, because most of these offices are 4 years. Most of the mayor positions in Marion, Lynn, and Benton County are 2-year terms, okay? So here's the other piece of this. If you wanted to be involved in local politics, the place to start is one of these appointed positions, because almost all of these cities advertise routinely what positions are coming available, okay, or what positions they need somebody for. And typically all you have to do is be living in that city, okay, in order to fill out the little form and get on an appointed position. So that puts you through the front door so that when a position comes open that's going to be elected, you have an opportunity to go, okay, I understand how that works, so I'm going to run for that position. The other one that will often happen is we have a council person who may quit because of health reasons or the job changed, and there's an open position. And so the council will appoint someone to fill that position until the next election. And they often will look at the people who have been appointed that are already in the system to select out of, okay? And I have numerous examples of people who we know who are wanting to be involved in politics who got into an appointed position and now they're in an elected position, okay, because they were there. So there's some special consideration. You're in Marion County, okay? There are 3 cities that I know of that cross the county lines: Idena, Mill City, and Gates. I think people live in Idena because they want to live in Idena and they don't want us to bother them, okay? But Mill City is unique. The river doesn't run through the middle of the town, but if you go to one of the restaurants that's up on the highway in Mill City, you're in Marion County. If you cross the bridge, okay, now you're in Lynn County, okay? Gates is very similar. So if you live in those areas, you're working from both sides of the county. Now here's the other piece of that. You could run for a council position in Mill City and win in Lynn County and lose in Benton County. And if the count was higher in Benton County for the other person, even though you won in Lynn, you lose the position. Okay? So these are unique considerations. Education districts, you have 14 education districts in Marion County. Okay? It's 79 elected positions and 66 volunteer positions, as near as I can tell. Okay? Part of those positions will be on the ballot in May of next year. So all special districts will be on the ballot May of the odd-numbered years. So here's some school districts of special consideration. Lynn, Benton, Lincoln ESD includes part of Marion County. North Santiam and Santiam Canyon, both of those K through 12 schools include both Marion and Lynn County. Okay? So if you're in one of those districts, you need to have a little broader view about what's out there because it includes another county. Fire districts. In Marion County, you have 20 fire districts with 99 elected individuals and 99 appointed. Okay? How many of you are in a fire district? All right, not very many. Okay. Because typically, sometimes they include a city, but often they're the area outside of a district, okay? Most fire districts are pretty well run, but if you're paying taxes to a fire district, it might be nice to know what they're doing. My father was a fire chief in a volunteer department, and I can tell you, no fireman was ever happy with the trucks that they have. They always want a bigger, better, faster truck with more pump, more capabilities. So they'll always want to spend your money, okay? Because you just, they would do the deal. You wouldn't deny us money because we're going to save the babies. See, so. We just say yes when those, okay? Here's some special considerations where fire districts cross into Lynn County. The Idena Detroit Fire District, Staten, Mill City, Jefferson, and then you've got the Polk Fire District that is part of Polk and Marion counties, okay? So if you're in one of these districts, it's important to understand that that district crosses over into another county, and so you need to be kind of tuned in to what's happening there. Then there are 4 water districts in Marion County. There are 22 elected, 20 volunteers. I think only one of those is a drinking water system, okay? And the Lyons Mahana Water District it crosses into Lynn County because the bridge goes across the river and the water district covers both sides, okay? Then this is a group I call the other, okay? There are 2 of these with 10 of each. One of them is the Silver Falls Library District, and the other one is the Jefferson Parks and Recreation District, which goes across the river also, okay? Most people ignore things like recreation districts and library districts, but they consume our money also, okay? So if you're paying taxes, pay attention, okay? So in summary here, there's 60 taxing districts in Marion County. Board is elected on odd years. There are 20 cities, 14 education districts, 20 fire districts, 4 water districts, and 2 other. So you've got 344 elected positions, 690 volunteer positions in your county. Okay? You want to make a difference politically, this is a place to start. In my county, we have 62 county taxing districts, 14 cities, 18 education districts. 7 of those are K through 12. There are 14 fire districts, 7 water districts, and 8 that I put into the other file. I mean, these are my categories. 358 elected positions, 351 volunteer positions. The 14 cities represent 91 elected positions and 311 appointed positions. About 100 of those are in the city of Albany, okay? The ones across county line, besides the one we talked already about Marion County, we got, of course, the city of Albany that crosses into Benton County, the area of North Albany, okay? So when you're dealing with election there, you're crossing the river again, okay? The education districts, we have 17 in Lynn County with 103 elected, 85 that are appointed. The K through 12 is this group of Gap, Central Lynn, Harrisburg, Lebanon, Sandy Am Canyon, Scio, and Sweet Home. That's 43 elected positions in the K through 12. If you're concerned about what your kids are being taught in school, next May is the time to be looking about who these people are, these 43 elected positions, because about half of them will be on the ballot. Some special considerations. There are 3 community colleges that impact Lynn County. Lane, one wouldn't think they do, but they've got a few precincts in the south. Chemeketa, which takes in a few precincts along the canyon line. And of course, Lynn and Benton, that includes Lynn and Benton counties. The K through 12 that include Marion, we've already talked about. It's the Sandy Am Canyon, North Sandy Am, and some of Jefferson. K through 12 that in Benton is Gaps and Corvallis. The Corvallis School District, I believe there are 3 precincts in Lynn County that are included in that. And then, of course, there is Marcola. Okay, you wouldn't think that would be part of Lynn County because it's a Lane County school district, but it crosses into our county. The Lane ESD area south and east of Harrisburg. Okay. So that's another ESD. So there are 3 ESDs that impact Lynn County. Education service districts. It's just another layer of taxing, okay? And I know there are good reasons for it, but that's what you've got, okay? 14 fire districts in Lynn County, 70 elected, 70 appointed. Fire districts that we've already talked about. These are ones with special consideration except for the Corvallis Fire District, which crosses the river into Lynn County. Okay, it is primarily a Benton County issue, but it does cross over. Okay. So we have water districts in Lynn County, and most of them are water control districts, meaning they handle drainage ditches and flooding and irrigation water, okay? So if it's a WCD, water control district, that's typically drainage, okay? There's only one domestic, that's the Lyon-Mahana water district, that's drinking water, okay? And then the Santiam water control district crosses also over into Marion County. So here's the other piece of this. Most water control districts require board members own a minimum amount of acreage within the district in order to be on the board. Okay? I mean, it makes some sense. You're dealing with farm drainage and in some cases irrigation. And so people who are on the board need to have some skin in the game. So you're looking for people who own a certain amount of acreage, okay? In most cases, you don't have to be using the water or the water doesn't necessarily have to be draining off of your area, but Lynn County is pretty flat for most of it. I mean, I know we go up the mountain, but you get down here in the flat, there's a drainage canal that comes through from the Santiam through Lebanon down to Albany that's part of the drinking water system, and I usually refer to it as pasteurized water because it runs off of all those pastures into that canal and comes down to the water system. So these are drainage areas, okay? So then the group that I threw into the other, we've got 6 of them. There are 30 elected and 30 appointed. There's the soil water conservation. There's the one that goes into Marion County, Jefferson. There's the Sweet Home Fire District, okay? There is also a cemetery district, and then we got the Lebanon Community Pool, and then there is another recreation district that I have, it's on the books, okay? County shows it, people get elected to it. I can't find it. I mean, I can't find its boundaries, I can't find an office, okay? But it exists. Somebody's paying taxes to it. All right, so in Lynn County, 62 taxing districts. You're looking at 358 elected positions, 531 volunteer positions, okay? So Benton is a little bit smaller. It's only got 42 taxing districts, 5 cities, 10 education districts, 9 water districts, and here's one we haven't seen before, 13 road districts. And then 5 I put in the other deal. There are 220 elected positions, 290 volunteer positions, plus an additional 100 that have to do with the city of Albany, okay? So there are 5 cities. So this is if you're dealing with city government in Benton County, it's a narrow, you've only got 5 cities to have to deal with. It's 33 elected with 110 appointed positions, okay? And those positions are on the ballot that you just got in the mail. So there's at least 2 or 3 council positions in every one of these cities that's on the ballot now if you live in Benton County. Education, they've got 10 of them, 48 elected, 50 appointed, okay? Some special considerations, you've got 2 colleges. Remember I mentioned earlier the Lane, and then we got the Lynn Benton Community College. So I said Lane comes in, the Lane Community College comes in to Lynn County. It also has a piece of Benton County, okay? Then you've got gaps, and then Harrisburg also is got a piece of Benton County, okay, across the river there. And there's an ESD, and then there's 7 K through 12 schools. Fire districts, there are 9 fire districts in Benton County, 45 elected, 45 appointed, 5 from each of those, okay? So road districts. Now road districts are unique, not just to Benton County, but there are not very many road districts throughout the state. These are typically small, and they commonly deal with one. Often what happens, you get somebody who builds a subdivision that's outside the city, and they will put in a water system and turn that into a special service district. And of course, there are roads going through there, and it's not county roads. They build the roads, and they turn that into a special district. And then the developer goes, I'm out of here. It's your problem, okay? And so you end up having to have elected people try to collect taxes to maintain these things, okay? The other group that I put in here, there's a drinking water system, the Vineyard Mountain drinking water system. For some reason, we've got water systems that dealing with Junction City, okay? Then there's a soil water conservation. Then there's the Alsea Cemetery District, okay? So you've got, these are special districts that collect tax money. There are 29 elected positions, 20 appointed. Board members will all be on the ballot, not every one of them, but about half of them on the ballot next May. So 42 taxing districts in Benton County, 220 elected, 290 volunteer positions, plus the 100 in Albany. So here's the summary. 3 counties, we got 922 elected positions at this local level and 1,511 appointed positions in the 3 counties. City council and mayor election is in November of even-numbered years. Every election, typically the mayor and 2 or 3 council positions will be on the ballot. These are all 2- and 4-year term limits. 2- and 4-year terms with no term limits, okay? There are more appointed positions than there are elected positions. District board elections in May of odd-numbered years. So every election between 2 and 3 board members will be on the ballot. These are 4-year terms, okay, with no term limits, and there are always more appointed positions than there are elected positions. So you're in one of these districts. What do you do to become familiar with what's going on? I believe that if we all put in 2 hours a month dealing with one of these taxing districts, if each one of them said, I'm going to take one, okay, taxing district that I'm paying taxes to, I'm going to dedicate up to 2 hours a month to find out what it is they're doing. So maybe you've got friends that you meet with and we say, listen, we're paying taxes to 5 different taxing districts. I'll take one. How about you take one? You take another one. So we're not all having to do it all, and we'll share some information. So you attend board meetings, or you look at today you can, almost all of these are online, okay? Or you say, listen, because it doesn't fit with my work schedule and my other schedule, I can't go to the board meeting, I can't watch them online. But what I can do is download their minutes and read the minutes. Now, the minutes won't tell you everything, but you'll have, the minutes will tell you any action that they're taking that's spending your money, okay? So you've got those 3 options. Go, watch online, look at the board members, okay? And if each one of us took one of those amongst our friends and we divided them up and we shared the information, it wouldn't take long to be able to keep tabs of what's going on there. Now, I'm not suggesting that they're doing anything illegal or immoral, but I'm saying we're paying taxes. We have a responsibility to kind of keep track of what they're doing with our tax money. Got their hand in my pocket, okay? So, see? So, when you're doing this, here's some questions to think about, okay? What are the issues that they're dealing with? Are they making good decisions from your point of view? How are they spending your tax money? What volunteer positions are open or coming open, okay, that you or your friends might be interested in? Are the individuals on the council or board doing a good job? Do you think they should be replaced? Okay, based on your observation. The other one I try to tell people to do is, why don't you, if you're at one of these meetings, you're watching online, part of it is saying, who is really running the meeting? Because not always is the chair or the mayor the person running the meeting. See? Some people will take over the meeting, okay? I get accused of doing that, okay? But it's okay. It's somebody's got to run the meeting, right? And if I'm there and I'm interested in it, I don't take it over on purpose. But you start asking questions, okay, and making input, and pretty soon you find that you're directing what's going on, okay? It might have not been in the intent, but that's what happens, okay? So, questions now. So we're not at the witching hour, but we've got about 5 minutes left, okay? Matt, how come you always have a question?
It's just me. For the appointed positions, what goes into determining, let's say 5 people want to be part of this, are applying for the same appointed position. Who decides who gets appointed and what criteria do they use?
So let's see, let me just take an example here. For instance, I know in the city of Scioto recently, there were 2 positions that they had on their website that were open. One of them was library advisory, on the library advisory committee, and the other one was on the planning commission, okay? And I have an acquaintance who applied for one of those, and the people who decide is the council. Those applications, and usually the application is like 1 page, okay? Goes to the council, and they decide. Typically, it's easy for them because often they just get 1 application. Most of us don't even know that those positions are available. We don't have the time and don't take the time to go look on these websites on a regular basis to find out what positions are coming up. And that's part of my encouragement is if you live in a service district, you live in a city, take the time once a month to go look at, if you can't do anything else, go look at their website, okay? And find out, do they have positions coming open? Or do they have positions that are open now? Because I can tell you, often a lot of these volunteer positions go wanting, okay? I know in some small cities in Lynn County, month after month after month, they're asking for people to apply for a position, and it doesn't happen.
So is it an official form or for each position, or are you sending a sort of resume?
Let's see, most cities have an official form on their website. There's no state form, okay? In some of the districts, it's a matter of calling someone or sending an email saying, I'm interested in being on the budget committee, okay? It can be that informal, especially if you're in one of the water control districts, okay? Those are typically a group of farmers that own land that water control district is involved in, and they're, if people don't volunteer for the budget committee, they'll call up their friend and say, hey, we're short 2 people on the budget committee. Will you serve? Okay. So when you get to something like the city of Albany or the city of Salem, now it's much more formal. They have a formal process, more detailed form that you got to fill out. Okay. You're in Scioto, it's I think the form's about 1 paragraph. Okay. Other questions here before we close down? Okay. Well, yeah.
Thank you. I just had an answer to Matt's earlier question about how to find out what your registration is if you're registered to a party. Voteref.com. You can find out what you are registered as and actually anybody else.
Right. You can also go to the Secretary of State's office online, click on the deal that says elections, my vote. There's a little green button there that says my vote. Click on it. Follow the steps, okay? All right. And I will go through that in detail next week. So let's ask the Lord to be with us as we finish the day here. So Heavenly Father, thank you that we live in a country where we have free and open elections. And Lord, I'd ask that if there are shenanigans going on behind the scenes to change the outcome of our elections, that you would expose that so all can see, so that the elections coming up on November 8th will be honest, and we can all rest assured that we know that our vote counted and counted correctly. So Lord, thank you for all you do for us and for this opportunity to be able to vote in a free election. In Jesus' name, amen. Thank you.